How's it going, my friends? This is a video on short squeezes, getting in a bad situation in a trade, knowing how to handle it, knowing how to avoid sticky situations, and trade management, which is basically what you do when you get in a bad situation. Some people are going to panic. Some people are going to be patient, save a lot of money. A lot of it's about knowing when to average up in a trade, not over leveraging, knowing how to average down when you're long, knowing when to exit, when to be patient. So I'm going to go over some of these things, and hopefully this will help. But the stock I'm going to use as an example is a great example is from today, KBSF. It is 11/8/2017. This is a Chinese menswear company, okay? First thing that everybody needs to know, who doesn't already know this, is that if it's a China stock, especially if it's a low float and a smaller cap, it's just going to be shady. That's just the bottom line. It's just going to be shady, okay? We're talking about a company that's in another country, China, and with different rules, different government, and it's a lot easier for them to get away with stock price manipulation than if they were here in the United States. Okay, so basically a lot of shady things happen with them for a lot of different reasons. So bottom line is today this thing moved crazy. I mean, it ran huge, 500+%, something like that, and then it crashed at the end of the day. It's a very low float, and for anybody who is in my trading room with me, they know that I focus big time on float. Float is basically the number of shares available for trade. And when a stock has a very, very low float, it's going to be dangerous. It can move fast up. It can move fast down. It's going to be very volatile, and it can trap and get a lot of traders into trouble. So just know right off the bat, check that float. If it's under 20 million, especially under 10 million, be careful with it and just know it can move. It could potentially move hundreds of percent. So if you're short, you got to be careful. And if you're long, you also got to be careful because it can drop fast, as you see this did at the end of the day. You don't want to get caught short too early in the squeeze. You don't want to be holding too long to where you get crushed and either you chase the top and lose money or you give back all the gains you made the entire day. Okay? So looking at this, I'm going to switch over to my other software here. This is DOS. I'm going to go over to Active Trader Pro. You can see here that the stock was in an upward channel the whole day. Okay, Google upward channel pattern and make sure you know what it is. You'll see it a lot. I see it almost every day actually. And let me go ahead and I'll draw it out just so it's a little clearer. But you can see it's in a nice upward channel. And I mean, surprisingly, it was in this upward channel all day. I mean, it ran huge. Definitely ran bigger than I expected. There was no catalyst whatsoever, so to have a move like this is pretty crazy. But there's been a lot of shady stocks moving recently. You'll notice another China mover at the end of the day, KONE. It's just the market's been crazy. It's in a state of euphoria, and when the market gets in euphoria, you're going to have these crazy stocks start coming out of the woodworks. I mean, the bulls are out, and they just they're it really is it gets pretty crazy sometimes. So, but yeah, this was a crazy one, and upward channel all day. You can see it's very clear. Okay, and then what happened is the stock blew up, and you see that the head and the upward channel switched into a head and shoulders pattern. Right when the head and shoulders came into play, boom, she snapped. Being that it was a low float, it could come down hard just as fast as it ran. In this case, it was what I would say is I would say this was stairs up and elevator down. Okay, dropped 50% here from the top. So the smart traders here, they played this thing and they took their money. If they were long, they got out. And the shorts, they were patient and they withstood the pressure and waited for the crash, and they got out after the crash, um, and made some money. Hopefully, make money going long and you make money going short. But basically, what happened here is it looks like it was a big short squeeze. Like I said, there was no real catalyst. You're talking about a super low float stock, and there might have been somebody controlling it with some big dollars. Somebody might have sucked up large portion of the float before it started to run. But what the game is what they do is first thing is they push it up. And without a catalyst, it's not retail traders buying this thing up when there's no catalyst. There's no reason. They just jump in on the price action and the volume. See, so it pushes up and then it starts to get on everybody's radar screen. You start to see it in the top percentage gainers and it starts to show up, and then everybody says, "Oh, this is interesting. What is this?" They don't really know why it's running, but technically you can see that it started to bull flag, squeeze some shorts here. They trapped some shorts, squeezed them out, shook them out, popped it again, had another bull flag, and basically it was a big squeeze. That's probably why it got up this high. But if somebody was controlling, first they'll get it up and they'll get it up on the radar screen on that top percentage gainers, because they got to build some momentum on. They need the retail traders to jump on board. So they get it up, trap. And then, for those of you who don't know a lot about shorting, once you short, you sell short, and then you buy to cover. It's the opposite of going long. So, and you're actually borrowing the shares. So you have to buy when you get out. So if this probably trapped some bears, and then when they started shorting, thinking the move was over, then it got pushed up and they got squeezed out and they panic and they start buying and it pushes it higher. Probably happened again here. People started shorting maybe down here. It looked like it was done. You see the red candles, and then boom, squeeze again. It just kind of kept happening. And so probably squeezed a lot of people, and definitely short squeeze was a big part of the move. Again, this head and shoulders here, that was obviously, you have to figure that with a move this big, not taking your profits is just insane. Basically, you have to assume with no catalyst, it's a China stock with a small float. You have to assume this thing is going to crash at some point. And you get towards the end of the day, 330, that's when a lot of profit taking will sometimes come in. You see the head and shoulders here, and if you didn't take your money, that's just nuts on a move like this. And unfortunately, a lot of people probably chased it up here. They felt the FOMO, the fear of missing out. They finally get in, then it crashes and they lose their shirt. Or some people made money all day, but they got greedy. They thought it was going to keep going. Falsely, and then it crashes. They get out down here and they wiped out their entire gains. Obviously some shorts probably got in early, got squeezed, and they probably got out here at the top when they felt max pressure. And then other shorts got in. They averaged up, got a decent average, and they were patient, and it crashed down. They covered down here and made some money. So it's a dangerous stock. It's a dangerous float, and this kind of move can kill many a trader. So you have to be careful. Again, under 10 million is what I consider the danger zone float-wise. Make sure you always know that float and assume that it can make crazy moves like this. So if you do decide to play a stock like this, it's you're at your own peril. You have to know that you're taking a risk. So what I like to do is, a lot of people think that I'm just some big huge bear and that's all I do is short, and that's just not true. I do love to short these shady scam type stocks. Because a lot of times they'll move big and the move's not justified. But I also do go long. And I like long plays. I have an investment portfolio, and I'm long stocks like Amazon and other things. So that's just not the case. I do both, but yeah, I prefer to short. But anyway, so what I might do here is this is a situation anybody could get caught in. As a trader, you're always going to end up in a sticky situation at some point. So what I call trade management is basically how you handle a trade when it's going against you. Do you panic and exit for a big loss, or are you smart with how you handle it? So what I like to do is in a stock like this, I know KBSF, I've seen it before, and I have what I call the sketch list, sketchy stocks, my sketch list. That is a list of stocks that I know are shady. They can move big for no reason. They crash after the move. And for the most part, DRYS, Dries, the shipping stock. There was a big shipping monsoon recently. That's on the list. KBSF is on the list. They're stocks I know that if they start moving, that there's likely something shady behind it and it's going to push higher. So I'll be more careful, or I might trade with lighter size because I know. And this is one that I did know, KBSF. Men's fashion store in China. Give me a break. I mean, this thing is obviously suspect. So I had the sketch list, And this was already on it, so right away I knew. So what I might do, let's say this thing starts moving up. It gets on my radar screen, you obviously you want to try to short the peaks, and then you want to cover when they come down to support areas. But let's say, I'm just going to use as an example. Let's say you're watching this thing and you played it a couple of times, and then you decide, you hit maybe short here with fairly decent size at say around 850. Okay, and then the stock goes against you. Well, I like to do a starter position that's smaller size to kind of test the water and get in the game. So if it dropped a little bit, you might unload it and go ahead and take the money. But if it goes against you, what I like to do is maybe average up lightly on the way up some. Not always. It depends on the situation. But I might, if it gets a little higher on me, you can have a stop set, a hard stop to go ahead and get you out and take your loss as protection. That's never a bad idea. I never don't recommend you do that because it can't hurt to play it safe, right? You have a small loss, you can always live to fight another day. But what you don't want is the catastrophic loss. But what I might do is I might have a hard stop or a middle stop set. I get out, take the small loss, or I try to cover and take profits. I'm a day trader. People don't realize I get in and out. I don't mess around with stocks that often for days. I swing sometimes, and but typically, I'm out that same day. I get in. I might even get in and out in a few minutes. I'm a day trader. All right. But let's say you shorted this. You're in a little bit early at like 850. It goes against you. I might add a little bit light on another peak. I might add a little bit. Then we're at 10. I add 850 and 1050. Then let's say it comes down. You might, you might exit if you feel like you're in a bad situation. You might exit it down here. Somewhere. 850. Let's see, 850, 1050. You might exit down here if you get a drop, but again, it bounce back up, and if it goes against you, you might start to feel some pressure. But I might average up, add a little bit lighter here, and get my average higher. So when it does drop, first thing, I'm in light. I'm not in super heavy. I'm not over leveraged, so I can withstand the pressure. So if somebody's trying to squeeze, or there's a stock promoter pumping this thing, or there's a boiler room in China making serious phone calls blowing up KBSF, if I can withstand the pressure, what you don't want to be is over leveraged in a low float short, because it can crush you if you are in too heavy. All right. So you be in light. Then let's say by the time you get up here, you see the whole head and shoulders form. Then maybe add again here, and pretty soon you have a decent average. And when it cracks, because it's going to get crushed at some point, it's a China, it's a low float, the move is huge, and it's got to come down. And if a whale's controlling this thing, which is probably likely, controlling it with big money, and algorithms pushing it up, you have to assume it's going to crash. They're going to, when they start selling, it's going to dump big. A low flow can go up fast. It can also go down fast. So you had the stairs up, and then you had the elevator down. But then when it finally does have the crash, if you've got a decent average and you're not in too heavy so you can withstand the pressure, it crashes down, you can make some bank. All right. And also, I just want to go ahead and say something that I'm fully aware that there's a lot of people out there that want to try to squeeze me. I have a lot of followers on Twitter, and I got a lot of eyes on my posts and things I'm doing. And I understand that other chat rooms, maybe the company itself, I bash a lot of companies. I give the truth. When I see trash companies posting baloney news, or I see moves that are unfounded and they're garbage, I'm going to tell everybody. I'm going to let as many people know as I can. Because first of all, they can make money short in this trash. And secondly, I want to save them. I'm trying to save the longs. I try to tell them to take the profits when the stock moves crazy like this, because I don't want them to lose their money. I'm not out to hurt anybody. I'm actually trying to help. I'm trying to basically alert people who are long as to when this thing might drop so they can take their money, and alert people to when they could short this thing and make money on the way down. Also, when I talk about something, a lot of people, see it, and it can help to create actually a push in the stock, and it can make it go higher. And I'm fully aware of this. I'm also fully aware that there are people out there that want to squeeze me, and they want to squeeze my team. They know we like to short. They know we play low floats. They know that There might be a lot of people following me that might also want to short, and they can try to use that as the attempted squeeze. And I know this. I know all the games. I know how they're played. So what I might do to counter that is I might slip in and I might have a long position too in my other broker. I might go long in Fidelity, KBSF, and I might also be short. So if somebody's trying to squeeze, if somebody's trying to play the game, thank you, because I might be benefiting from it. Just know that. For all of you out there that are stock promoting, that are pumping, anybody trying to take advantage by short squeezing, hedge funds, any of you out there, I just want you to know that I might be long as well. So thank you for that. And that's what it was called, a hedge. So I might, in one broker, I might have KBSF short. I might have in my Fidelity account, I may have it long as well. People think they're squeezing. They're all pumped up. They're excited. They're like, yeah, we're squeezing. We're getting the squeeze in, and they're actually making me money. So I just want that to be out there. And yeah, if you have a garbage company and you're pumping your stock, Dries, DRYS, that sham with the shipping company, and uh, what's going on with that? I'm going to call you out. KBSF, this move is garbage. I'm going to call it out. Um, you know, uh, HMNY recently with the movie pass baloney where the stock went crazy. I'm going to call that out. I'm going to call all of you guys out. Just know that. Other people may not do it. Regulators may not do it. The exchange, they may not be doing it. They might not be stopping people pumping these small cap stocks into public offerings and crushing retail traders. Biotechs do that all the time. Nobody might be stopping that, but people are going to know one thing. If they come and they follow me on Twitter, they join my trading room, and they're a part of our group, I will call this stuff out. I will make it known, and people email me all the time and give me information about these scams. And and if you see something that is shady, and you know something about these stocks that if the news is suspect, or they're putting out false information, let me know. I'll put it out there for everybody. So yeah, I'm gonna do that, and obviously I'm gonna rub people wrong, people that are long these stocks, the company themselves, people that are invested in them. It's gonna rub them wrong, and they're probably out there and they probably want to squeeze me. So I just want to say that if it weren't for these pumps, if it weren't for these types of companies, we wouldn't be able to short them. So in a way, we should say thank you. Thank you to them for pumping this garbage so we can short it, make money on it. But yeah, if you want to know about what's going on with these things, if I see something that's shady, I'm going to let everybody know. Not to hurt longs or anything else, just so people have the right information. I try my best. Everything I post, I try my best to make sure it's accurate. Once in a while, I might make a mistake, but I check everything. I try to make. Sometimes if I make a fast post because I'm in a hurry or I'm trading or I'm talking to a lot of people, I might make a mistake. But I promise you 100%, I try to put out accurate information all the time. That's all I try to do. Okay. And sometimes I'm going to be wrong, of course. I'm not going to be wrong all the time. I'm right a lot. But I'm going to be wrong sometimes. So anybody out there who likes to come on and troll me on Twitter and wants to talk baloney about how I was wrong about something, well, you can waste your time, but I'm not going to answer. I'm going to ignore you, because only a fool doesn't understand that you can't be right all the time. The best traders in the world are going to be wrong a lot. Okay, so anyway, I've said my piece on that. But going forward with it, I like to look at the historical chart a lot. So let's go on. Let's go. When I was watching, try to see where this thing was going to stop. It was tough to gauge when it was going to end, because it popped up. It looked like it was over here, came down, and then it just went higher. So what I like to do is look at the historical chart. I check 6 months. You can see there was no resistance on the, so you had to go back a little further. But you see this right here. You see on the year. You start to see some resistance. Okay, and then when you look at the 2-year, that's when it really becomes clear. You see the stock ran up, and you can see there was a lot of resistance on this 2-year in the area where it finally showed resistance. So I was eyeing that. I knew that it might be at 10, and it got higher. I knew that it could be around 1145, where there was some pretty strong resistance, and it got a little higher. But in the end, you could see that when it's going to trigger some stops, and it was crazy. But you could see that in the end, it kind of failed in this area on this 2-year chart. Okay, always look at the historical to get a good idea. Also, algorithms, they love to find resistance areas, and then they'll start selling. So again, for those who don't know, most of the daily trading volume is algorithms, not humans. And most of the market makers nowadays as well are algorithms. They're not humans. There are still some. Okay, anyway, so historical chart, boom. Let's go back to the today. All right. Another thing that's important, actually, let me go back on that 2-year, is look at the history. This stock has a history of popping and dropping. I looked at that as well. See, it pops, it drops. It pops big, it drops big. Pops big, it drops big. So there's a good chance that here again, you're going to have a similar situation. I did mention this on social media that this was the case, and for people to be careful. So it has a history of popping and dropping, and it popped and dropped again today. All right, what else? Like I said, trade management is super important, is knowing how to handle something. So, if you get in a bad situation, so what you might want to do is you have to know when to average up, when to average down, when to maybe cut some shares, and when to take the loss and when to be patient. In this case, if you were getting squeezed on a short, you have to look at several things. You know it's Chinese stock, you know it's a low floater, you know it's probably going to crash, there's going to be profit taken at the end of the day, so you might want to be a little bit patient if you're up here and try to wait for it to crash. Also, let's say you have 1,000 shares and you have an average of around, say, $10. If it goes against you, you can cut off some shares. You cut off half your shares. You could get rid of 500, take the loss on 5, hold 5, and then try to wait for it to crash before you get out. If you're long, make sure you're not chasing the pops. You don't want to chase the pop long here and then have it dip on you, and then you panic and get out. You want to you want to wait. If you get the pop and you want to go long, don't chase it, because that's when the profit taking is going to come in, the shorting. Wait for it to dip down, then you want to catch it down here, and then you can have a tight stop right below. So maybe you get squeezed and you could sell into the strength here. But yeah, you could have done that all day on this, basically. Okay. Now, what is this going to do going forward? Well, it had a big drop, so there's always a possibility of a little short covering bounce. But I think after this huge drop, I think people finally realized this thing was suspect. When it was running crazy, everybody's thinking, well, this thing is going to the moon. But once you have a drop like that, that's enough to shake anybody. So I think look, the stock was at $2.50 today. It went to $14.50, and it's still at $8.50 from $2.50. Okay, so I still think this could go a lot lower going forward. It could take a couple days, it could take a week, but I think this thing is gonna go a good bit lower. There's no catalyst to justify the move, and therefore you can't think anything other than it getting further down. I think my price target on this is $3. I think it's going to give back most of this move in the short term. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. That's going to be about it for now. So I hope this helps. I do these videos to try to help as many people as possible. I'm just out there to make people aware of what's going on. And anytime I see something like this, I'm going to make everybody. And like I said, when something's a scam, if the move's a sham or it's a hustle, it doesn't matter. If the price action's big, it doesn't mean. You can go long on it, by all means, ride that wave. Just know that it's going to end up like this, and just know that you don't want to be in for long, because these things can get halted. T12 halts, where you can get your money stuck for who knows how long. On China stocks like this, I've seen many happen many a time. And you just have to be careful. If you're going to take a position in these things, you have to be careful. All right. If you have any questions, always email me, bprising1@gmail.com. Check out the website, bprising.com. And please join our trading room. You can learn all about this stuff. All right. And until the next video, everyone have a good one. And I hope everyone's profiting, and I hope everyone longs and shorts. I hope you guys are all making money. And again, I'm not out to hurt any longs. Try to understand that I'm trying to help make people aware of what's going on. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great one. Bye-bye.